Buyurun, buyurun. Aziz milletim, değerli basın mensupları,
My noble nation, esteemed members of the press, I would like to greet you with my most heartfelt feelings and with love. After we shifted to the executive presidential system, we started following the activities of the executive in periods of 100 days. We have shared with the nation our programs for the first and second 100 days. We follow up the activities of our ministries and of our institutions, and we follow these up in quarters through our deputy presidents. And twice every year, we share what we have discussed in the past 6 months with the nation. Today, we have gathered to look back at the year 2019 and to share with the nation some of our projects for 2020. We are a government that directly takes the authority from the nation. For this reason, it's our duty to be accountable to our nation. This is one of our foremost duties. Now activities can be carried out in a more rapid and effective way. Even though we trust our institutions, control and follow-up is still necessary, and with this mentality we closely follow the activities of our ministries and various institutions. And by doing so, we can more quickly detect any shortcomings or mishaps, and we can create solutions and put them into practice much quicker. And in the future, on a quarterly basis, we will continue following up. And as I said before, every 6 months we will continue sharing the outcomes with our nation. Esteemed colleagues, around 9 years ago, in the year 2011, we have declared our goals for the year 2023. Turkey's march to 2023 has made many people, both inside and outside our country, uneasy. If you have noticed, the attacks towards our country have increased in the recent times to a very unprecedented level. They have increased and they have diversified. We are going through a period of unbroken attacks, and the purpose of these attacks is to prevent our country from reaching its goals of 2023. But thankfully, with the help of God and with the support of our nation, we were able to avert all of these attacks. We did not allow chaos on our streets. We did not give in to terror groups or to coup plotters on the streets. And we did not allow a besiege along the southern border of our country. And we did not give in to economic hitmen. Yes, we have paid half the prices, we have lost people, and we have run into very insidious plans, but we were able to overcome all of those. 2019 was a year where we felt all of these problems very heavy on our shoulders. There were plans made for Turkey, and 2019 was depicted as a year of going down or giving in. But thanks to our God, we have turned 2019 into a year of rising up again. We strengthened our national unity. We pushed terror groups out of our borders, and we have punished coup plotters. We shattered the terror corridor which was being established along our border. We were able to overcome the traps that were laid for our economy, and we refocused on our goals. Now we are trying to strengthen growth, production, exports and employment, and we are protecting our international rights, including in the Mediterranean, and we are starting a period of rising and gaining speed again. In this regard, the outcomes of 2019 are a proof of what Turkey can achieve even in the most difficult of times. It's a success story, and hopefully in 2020 we will achieve more in every area, and we are going to thank our nation for the support that they lent to us, and we will pay our debts to the nation for their very frank support. And no matter what the conditions are, when it comes to the freedom and the future of this nation can create legends. And we are entering a year where we can prove this to everyone, both inside and outside our country. There are those who expect Turkey to fail and to fall down, but we are going to continue to disappoint them, to frustrate them. And as we do this, we always question ourselves as well. On the occasion of the first anniversary of the new executive presidential system, we did a very comprehensive review. And we noticed that 98% of the problems that arose were not stemming from the new system, but they were rather because of the habits of the old system. In line with this detection, we have come up with a number of measures which can help us overcome the shortcomings, and we have started putting these measures into practice step by step. Also, we have prepared medium and long-run plans for the future. The 11th development plan was ratified at the Parliament as well, and this plan is a comprehensive medium-run roadmap which covers the years 2019 to 2023. We will produce more added value and share more fairly, and we will create a wealthier and stronger Turkey. These were the principles of the new plan, and we will put it into practice step by step, and we will follow up as annual programs and quarterly reviews. In the past year, it was very difficult, but we were also very productive and successful in our projects. When we look at the year 2019, we were targeting 1,400 actions, and we were able to achieve 1,100 out of those. Even though we had certain problems in the budget, we had a 98% in the first half and 89% actualization ratio in the second half in the number of our projects. In order to put these actions into practice, we have used a budget of around 68 billion liras. As you know, when we first came to office, we had promised to elevate Turkey over four main pillars. These pillars were education, health, justice, and security. In Turkey at a national level and in our individual provinces, we have also carried out certain projects which were around these four pillars. And this is how we review the year 2019. And for this, we start with education. Education. In the past 17 years, we have tried to overcome the shortcomings in infrastructure of education. We tried to save our children from classrooms of 80 students, and we did our best in order to allow more people to be able to go to universities. We increased our number of teachers by 600,000 and raised the total number to 900,000.
derslik sayısını
We increased the number of classrooms by 300,000 and raised the total number to 500,000.
üniversite sayısını
We increased the number of universities by 130 and increased the number to 207, and the number of our faculty members to 170,000.
üniversitelerimizdeki öğrenci sayısı
The number of our university students also increased from 1.6 million to 8 million.
üniversitelerimizle alakalı olarak birileri şunu söyleyebilir.
Certain circles claim that these numbers are nice, but what about quality?
Bunların tespiti de doğru olabilir.
Their point may also be justified,
Bizim üniversite
but
öğrenci
at the moment,
adaylarımızda 10 öğrenciden bir kişi üniversiteye girerken
in the past, 1 out of 10 students was able to go to university, but thankfully, now each 10 student is now able to enter a university.
bu şu anda keyfiyet itibariyle sıkıntımız
This
olabilir.
means we may have certain shortcomings with quality at the moment, but hopefully, with the new steps, we will also increase quality. And as we increase quality, the students will be able to compete on a global level.
Ailelerine yük olmadan
We are also giving students every kind of support so that they can study at universities without creating a heavy burden for their families. For instance, for many years, the university tuitions were being protested by students, and we eliminated these tuitions. Young people were carrying out demonstrations. They were protesting the tuition fees. But now we have no such thing as a tuition fee, and it was abolished by the AK Party government.
bakınız lisans öğrencilerimizin kredi burs desteğini
We increased the scholarship and loan support to BA students to 550 liras. In MA, this number is 1,100 liras, and in PhD, 1,650 liras.
bunu da yapan biziz.
This was also achieved by our government.
Yurtlarda kalan öğrencilere
We are also giving an additional
beslenme
food support of 420 liras to students who stay in dormitories. In order to solve the accommodation problem of students, we increased the number of capacities of dormitories from 180,000 to 600,000. And as you can see, the rooms look great.
bu yılın ilk yarısında
In the first half of this year, we are inaugurating another 21 dormitories with a total capacity of 13,000. As you can currently see on the screen,
bu tür lüks yurtlarımızla
we will
beraber
have
inşallah
high-end dormitories, and thanks to such facilities, students will no longer have an accommodation problem.
orta öğretimde
In primary and secondary education, without any distinction, we are giving the textbooks to students free of charge. In the past, this used to be a major problem. We would go to bookstores and we would get an appointment for the following week.
şu anda bizim dağıttığımız kitaplar gibi kitap
And the books were not equal to what we distribute today.
baskılarıyla, kaliteleriyle
With the quality of the publishing,
olacak gibi olmayan
they were not even usable.
teksir kağıdından
We used to
yapılmış notlarla
use notes which were photocopied.
bize o teksir
We would
notlarını
borrow
bile
them from higher level students, and they would not even want to
bunları yaşadık.
give us their notes.
Bakın
We
şu
experienced such
belgedeki
difficulties.
kitapların güzelliğini
But
görün.
look at the beauty of the books that you see on the screen at the moment. They are from the highest quality paper.
Bunları şimdi
Now such books are
yavrularımız görüyor.
waiting for the students on their desks,
Geleceğe
and they prepare our students in the best way possible to the future. We have created a system called the School Profile Evaluation System. We created this system in 2019 and we are going to launch it in the next 3 months. They will show us in which areas the schools need to be supported. In the year 2019, we have opened more than 5,000 design skill workshops to the schools which promote designing or analytical thinking or manufacturing. In the primary school and high school levels, in the first 6 months of this year, we have opened 2,000 skills workshops, and in the future we will open 10,000 additional ones. We are also strengthening our vocational schools. Young people will learn skills in these schools, and they will be able to complete their missing courses and will be able to obtain a high school degree. We have prioritized areas like defense, automotive, biotechnology, and space and aviation. We are trying to raise qualified students in these areas. We are also educating our teachers because they shape the education of the future. We have developed 143,000 qualified education material for students with mental or physical disabilities or learning disability or speech impairment. We have opened 6,000 special education classrooms. So regardless of their social security status, we are supporting students who need support. We started in 2019 our efforts to create digital content, and this year we are going to make it online. In the future, we will have classrooms for special students, and we will have education services at home and in hospitals, and we are going to reach more students with disabilities. That brings us to health. Health is one of the areas where we carried out our most important reforms. Our citizens were waiting in long lines at the entrances of hospitals. We tried to establish a system which could give a good level support and service to every citizen. The quality of our health services is now a model for the rest of the world. In the past 17 years, we have increased the number of our health institutions from 2,600 to 5,500. As you can see on the screen, you can see the quality of the beds and the quality of the rooms. We had major problems with this as well in the past. In the past, we used to have much worse conditions, which were less clean. I'm not going to criticize anyone here, because our nation knows this already quite well. But we know that the most important thing in life is health, because that is the foundation of a healthy state as well. And with this principle, we diverted a lot of our investments in health. We increased the total number of beds in our hospitals to 240,000. We increased the number of our physicians from 92,000 to 161,000, and the number of total healthcare professionals from 378,000 to 1,025,000. We increased the per capita health spending in our country from 19 lira. I'd also like to call out to the nation who is watching us in front of their screens. We increased the number of per capita health spending from 19 lira to 140 lira. And we decreased the amount paid out of their own budgets from 20% down to 17%. We have opened city hospitals in provinces such as Adana, Isparta, Mersin, Yozgat, Kayseri, Elazığ, Eskişehir, Manisa, Bursa, and Ankara Bilkent. And this year we are going to open new city hospitals in Konya, Istanbul, Tekirdağ, Kocaeli, and Izmir. We are going to complete the construction of 64 additional health facilities, and we will open them to service. And we are going to start the construction of 19 additional health institutions. From physical to psychological problems, many new treatment types are now covered by the social security system. In the cancer treatment, some transactions cost very high, and we have stopped charging extra for these services. By 2019, we have started production of certain health materials ourselves. The number of patients that come to our country for treatment has reached 470,000. We want to increase this number further to 750,000 and then up to 1.5 million. Also, within the same frame, in order to follow patients before and after treatment, we are going to establish 20 diagnosis centers outside our borders. We also continued our fight against tobacco and cigarettes. We started a single type cigarette package system in 2019, and we became the 7th country in the world to do this. And here I'd like to call out to my whole nation. Let's not be enemies to our own health. Let's quit smoking and let's be healthier together as we march towards the future. We have banned the sales of cigarettes at education, health, and sports facilities. We have also banned any advertisements or images that could encourage smoking everywhere, including on the internet. We have created smoke-free zones in order to have a more effective struggle against smoking. I love my nation. I'm not an enemy of my nation. For that reason, we banned smoking. So every time I see a package of cigarettes, I take it. Because I want to save them from this trouble. The death rate per 1 million people in our country because of substance abuse used to be 11.4, but in 2019 this has been decreased to 3.3. We are also trying to improve the safety of our healthcare professionals and our doctors and nurses. For this reason, we have created an action plan to prevent violence in health services. Creating blood products and plasmas from local blood and production of local pharmaceuticals will be one of our priorities in 2020. Also, those who are trying to prevent us from creating our own material, what they do is treachery against their country. And on this regard, we do not allow anyone. Next, justice. In justice services, from legislation to infrastructure, from the correctional system to the freedom of the judiciary, we have made important developments. We increased the number of our judges and prosecutors from 9,000 to 20,000 by the end of 2019. And we increased the number of our assisting staff from 51,000 to 138,000. The number of courts have increased by 82%. We built 256 new court buildings, and we improved the functioning of the judiciary. From specialization to appeal courts, to restructuring of the Board of Judges and Prosecutors, to the elimination of military judges, we have carried out many historic reforms. We believe that the freedom and independence of the judiciary is one of the main principles of rule of law. Our judicial reform strategy document was shared with the nation in the May of 2019. In order to achieve the goals of the document, we prepared the first judiciary package, which was ratified at the Parliament last year. With the new amendment, we are adding two new methods of judiciary to our penal system. We are working on a new system in which the punishment is proportionate and fair, in a way that does not disturb the conscience of the society. On the other hand, we want to finish in a few months' time our action plan for human rights. Our second judicial package has been fully prepared, and in a few weeks' time we will bring it to the Parliament. Another important reform is that when citizens have legal conflicts with the state, they will not have to go to the court, and they will be able to find a resolution through an intermediary system. When public institutions have conflicts between each other, or when citizens have that with the state, now the problems can be solved without too many problems in a fair way. We have finished preparations in 2019, and hopefully soon it will be brought to the agenda of the Parliament. We have started a public notary on-call system, and with a digital connection, now you can obtain documents from any notary public without having to go to your original notary. We have also introduced an examination system in becoming a notary, and deputy notary system will also be established soon. Certain legal procedures without conflict or detection of proof in cases that haven't brought to the court yet will be carried out by notaries, which will decrease the burden of the judiciary. With the electronic notice system, problems or delays will be prevented. With the new system, more than 17 million electronic notices have been sent, and we have saved more than 210 million Turkish liras. As we enter the new judicial year of 2019, we have established 4 new regional courts, and we increased the number from 11 to 15. Justice delayed is not justice served. So with this principle, we also started target time periods in the judiciary last year. We see that we are able to keep up with the 80% target time periods. In the future days, we will also start the same initiative at the forensics institution. In commercial court cases, using intermediaries is compulsory, and more than half of the 150,000 files with legal intermediaries have been solved already. Out of the 275,000 files, 231,000 have been sold in agreements of the two parties. We want another innovation in our legal system, which is assistant judges and prosecutors. In our legal reform strategy, we also want a very comprehensive legal training reform. On this issue, the Ministry of Justice and the Higher Education Board of Turkey continue working together. Security, on the other hand, Turkey has been facing terror groups and actions which target our peace. But Turkey has achieved the highest achievement of its history during our period, from PKK, YPG to Daesh to FETÖ. Many terror groups have been fed and grown to attack our country, but we were able to crush all of them, and we will continue crushing them. Similarly, we are also fighting against organized crime groups. In the past year, we carried out operations towards PKK, and we were able to kill 1,200 terrorists and prevented many attacks. We decreased the number of terror group members in our country, and by 2019 they have fewer members than when they were established. The very robust stance of the mothers in Diyarbakır has increased the division within the terror group, but there's something interesting here. The mothers in Diyarbakır have waited in front of the building of that certain political party, and they carried the children, the photos of their children that were abducted to the mountain. But the leader of the main opposition party and his delegation, together with that certain party, they went to a theater act which was putting on stage the book written by a terrorist. The country, from where to where, and how it arrived and how it made progress. This is a very important indication, and I believe that my nation, when the right time comes, will give the necessary lesson to these people. Recruitment to the terror group has almost entirely finished. As the security and safety in the region is improving, we see positive developments in every area, including tourism. FETÖ tried to plot a coup against our state on 15th of July, and we will continue our fight against it until we can completely eradicate it from all of our state institutions. Daesh, Al-Qaeda, and other terror groups, we carried out operations against them, and we eliminated 380 terrorists. And our goal is to render every part of our nation safe from terror groups, so that people can feel safe and secure and feel confident of their future. The number of thefts in the past 3 years have decreased from 78 per night to 34 to 4 per day in Ankara and 6 in Izmir. As we eradicated FETÖ members from our state institutions, our achievement in security increased. Our security bureaucracy is acting as a single body in order to fight against the attacks directed towards our country. At the moment, our police, our gendarmerie, our rangers on the street. We have no distinction, and they are able to work in full cohesion in their fight against terror. In the recent days, we have inaugurated the new facilities of our intelligence organization. They have been very successful in their operations and have made our country very proud. National Defense, Internal Affairs, and Foreign Affairs departments, ministries, and the intelligence agency have an improved coordination among them now. And hopefully, in the future, our intelligence agency will have a new building in Istanbul as well, which is a very well-equipped building with all the developed technologies and equipment. And it will be an important new facility for our intelligence organization. Our National Intelligence Coordination Council will be established soon. We have security systems projects for our borders. Our Syrian border of 900 kilometers will be secured with a wall, a security wall of 800 kilometers. You can see that wall on the screen right now. It is supported by electronic equipment. These did not exist in the past, but we were able to achieve all of these developments. The goal is to prevent terror groups from infiltrating into our land from here. We have also established more than 200 electro-optic observation posts. We are opening 150 additional such towers along our borders. And with this, 740 kilometers of our eastern border and on our western border, 350 kilometers along our border will be observed through these new technologies.
When it comes to transportation, distinguished friends, transportation and infrastructure are the areas about which our government has been very much successful. In order to ensure that our citizens access to every point of our country in a speedy, comfortable and secure fashion, we have made investments that exceeded a figure of 750 billion liras. The length of our highways increased tremendously from with an additional length of 1.3 kilometers, and it has increased up to 3,060 kilometers. You see them on the screen, right? Look at that beauty. And think about the roads, the highways we had in the past. Throughout the history of the Republic, only 6,000 kilometers long splitted highways were built, but the rest so far has been built by us. And in some places we have 4 lanes or 5 lanes. And as I said before, with highways we are further reinforcing. And as I said to my colleagues the other day, in some places at the crossroads, we also will be engaged in landscape activities, and the images will be as beautiful as what you see on the screen, because Turkey is a special country and our roads and highways are also special, and we will show it to the whole world. These roads and highways, as of the end of 2019, serve to the 82% of our country. Distinguished friends, do not forget, roads mean civilization. Water means civilization. And if you are civilized, you will have roads. And if you are civilized, you will have, and you should have, water. If you lack these, no one can talk about a civilization. In terms of the number of the vehicles and the density in traffic and increase in those, so despite that, the number of the people who lost their lives due to traffic accidents decreased by 71% thanks to those newly constructed roads and highways. And to reduce the figure further, we take further measures. And the number of the trees planted so far has exceeded 68 million. The environmentalists should hear that. It has exceeded 68 million. And as you know, we the other day planted 11 million saplings. And I also participated to the event myself. That all the students, all the colleagues, all of us were there, and we planted 11 saplings. And the centers of tourism and trade will be connected together through Istanbul-Izmir highway, which is of 426 kilometers. And we opened it to service last year. How about that? This is the highway from Istanbul to Izmir. And thanks to that, the driving from Istanbul to Izmir would only last 3.5 hours, while it used to be 8 hours. And as I said before, we also will be making landscape, will be engaged in landscape activities for the viaducts to make the surrounding much better looking. And the highway that connects Izmir to Çandarlı port also has been open to service to a great extent, and the remaining part will be open to service soon. And the Kınalı Odayeri and Kurtköy-Akyazı sections of North Marmara Highway will be open to services in the forthcoming months. The number of the tunnels on our highways, which is very important, increased up to 381 by way of adding 298 of them indeed actually, and the length of our tunnels increased from 50 kilometers up to 500 kilometers. And as I say always, we do make our ways go through the mountains, and without doing that, we cannot achieve our targets. And in 2019, we had targets to build 92 bridges and viaducts and crossroads, which are of 23 kilometers, and we will even go beyond our targets, and we have opened 171 bridges to service Marmaray, Eurasia Tunnel, Yavuz Sultan Selim Bridge, Osman Gazi Bridge, and many other mega new projects will be coming soon, and we will come up with new projects. And in this framework, the economic and strategic power of our country will be much higher, and we will soon initiate the Kanal Istanbul project, which will contribute to our country tremendously. A half century ago, Boğaziçi, the Bosporus Bridge, was the biggest catastrophe for Istanbul, some said. And now the same people with the same mentality now run campaigns against Canal Istanbul. It's the same thing. And those who oppose to Canal Istanbul do not have even the slightest idea what this project is actually like. Neither the figures they give nor the locations they refer are accurate in their sense. And you saw on the screen a ship that hit the houses by the waterfront. And as you know, off Selimiye, a Romanian tanker, a vessel that hit the coastline, and this ship, this vessel, was on fire for 7 straight months. And it is an accident, a case for us to note. And we have observed and experienced such many similar cases, as we are all Istanbulites. And the Istanbul Bosporus is an area where 45,000 vessels pass through, and it has become a place, a location where the human and freight traffic is growing every passing day. And the only solution, remedy for that, is to construct an alternative waterway. And this project did not happen to be all of a sudden. This is the project that we have been defending for since our office time in the metropolitan municipality, and also since 2011. The geological, geotechnical, hydrological studies have been made, and the infrastructure displacement needs, environmental impact related studies and projects have already been completed throughout this process. And these people actually run such similar campaigns against even Marmaray, and 440 million people indeed commuted in Marmaray, even though some people in the beginning objected to it. In those studies, we have worked with more than 200 scientists coming from 11 different universities and different institutions. The construction cost is calculated to be $75 billion for Canal Istanbul, and there will be 2 ports, 2 yacht port, 1 yacht port, 1 logistics center, 7 bridges, 2 railway lines, 2 light railway lines, and 500 dwelling houses. During the finance and the construction of the project, there will be no problems. In terms of a railway, we also have been equipping our country with a speed train and high-speed train lines. Istanbul, Ankara, Konya, Eskişehir high-speed train lines are in operation currently. Ankara, Eskişehir, Istanbul, and Ankara, Konya, Istanbul routes. Totally, for those routes and lines, we have seen more than 53 million citizens commuted so far. If it's peace, if it's safety, if it's about those, then our citizens are here. And the feedback so far show that these projects were to the point and very much effective. In our railways in 2019, we have helped the commuting of 245 million. In high-speed train operations, we rank the 8th in Europe and the 6th in the world. Currently, Ankara-İzmir and Ankara-Sivas lines, we are coming to the end of the construction process for railways. Ankara-Sivas line, in that line we will start our test drivings in the end of March. Other than the high-speed train lines, we are also constructing other high-speed train lines for shipping activities. Bursa, Bilecik, Konya, Karaman, Niğde, Mersin, Adana, Osmaniye, Gaziantep, Sivas, Zara, areas will be connected to one another through high-speed railways. And for the manufacturing of railway vehicles, we are further developing our industry. In Sivas, Sakarya, Afyon, Konya, and Ankara, speed train lines and the railway elements will be produced in the local facilities. And we are the fourth country which is able to manufacture hybrid driving engines as prototypes. And so far, 150 new generation train cars came in operation, and we are currently producing an additional 100 shipping cars. In Baku-Tbilisi and Kars Railway, we carried a load of 326 tons, and we have made our way to the capital of Czechia, Prague, through the use of Marmaray. And we are further reinforcing our lines, and the number of the airports increased up to 56, and the capacity of passengers increased up to 317 million. The victory of Turkey Istanbul Airport became operational with its first phase in 2019, and our airport helped the traveling of totally 50 million passengers in 2019. Istanbul Airport's second phase are planned to become operational in June. Last year, Kahramanmaraş and Balıkesir airports' new terminal buildings were constructed, and Ordu Giresun Airport. Following this airport, right now we are constructing Rize Artvin airports. And it's not done yet. Gümüşhane, Bayburt, Yozgat, and Tokat airports are under construction right now. For our international flights, we have increased the number of destinations from 60 to 326, and the number of big aircrafts increased from 162 to 540, and the turnover of the sector increased from $2.2 billion to $25 billion. The satellite communication capacity of our country is growing, and we have new satellite projects, Turksat 5A and 5B, and we have initiated our activities to produce them. Turksat 5A satellite will be launched in the third quarter of 2020. And Turksat 6A will be produced completely this year, and it will be launched into the space in 2021. And Turkey, this way, will be one of the top 10 countries who are able to make satellite communication. And we also, through single clicks, make sure that our citizens get access to internet through a digital Turkey platform. And through electronic state platforms, 45 million users now have safe and secure and speedy access to public services. And starting from the local governance services, we will continue to offer digital services over our platform, and for the citizens who prefer to get the services from the public institutions themselves, a single stop one-stop service points will become operational. Now I will be talking about the activities of our Ministry for Environment and Urbanization. Distinguished friends, all the settlement areas are planned to be transformed in accordance with the new needs of our citizens and a modern understanding in terms of zoning. So for all the zoning activities last year, we made about an investment which was worth of 16 billion liras. And we have gentrified many houses and ensured better safety and security for more than 5 million citizens. And we still have activities for the risky areas, 240 risky areas, and we still have 1.5 million dwelling houses we yet to transform. And every year we are planning to go for gentrification activities, and we have started to establish a construction stock resilient to earthquake. Through Toki, we completed the construction of 725,000 dwelling houses, and we delivered it to about 4 million citizens. Last year, we started the construction project for 50,000 social dwelling houses, and also we made applications. We have received applications for another campaign which is titled 100,000 social dwelling houses. So we have received so far more than 1 million applications. Some say that there are no sales or the market for the real estate is now at pause. But see, we have received 1 million applications. It's only about trust, confidence. And we will continue to build such healthy social houses which actually have identities of their own until every citizen have access to them. And the national gardens are one of the most important projects of our country, and in 81 cities we have been running activities for the project of construction. And so far in 6 provinces of our country we have inaugurated 13 national gardens that are on an area of 4.9 million square kilometers. Now you can see the Meram National Garden. So for the first time this project was materialized in our presidential complex, and the zero waste project is now in place in many public authorities. And before you all, I would like to thank to my wife for initiating such a campaign. Thanks to the project, more than 4 million tons of recyclable waste was collected and they were recovered. Within the framework of a zero waste project, we have decreased the usage of plastic bags by 78%.
Zorunlu depozito uygulamasına da bu yıl başlıyoruz.
In terms of clean seas mobilization activities, we have zero waste blue movement, and we collected sea waste, which amounts to 163,000 cubic meters. And we completed totally 465 projects in terms of potable water, wastewater, solid waste, and so on. And by the end of this year, many other projects will be completed in terms of potable water and also the wastewater. Now I will be talking about energy. My distinguished friends, I hope I'm not tiring you. And of course, you should not leave. We will be distributing the books, the published version of my speech, and as a souvenir of this day, you will take a hold of these booklets. Distinguished friends, about energy, which is the main element for development. We have obtained a lot of achievements, and our installed power by the end of 2019 has increased to a capacity of 19,267 megawatts. And the installed power, the 73% of the installed power in the past 2 years is based on renewable energy. And our installed power in renewable energy has increased to a capacity that is more than 56,000 megawatts. And before us, we did not even have the solar power plans, and our installed power in this regard has come to a figure of 5,800 megawatts, and the installed power for wind energy has increased from only 19 megawatts up to 7,591 megawatts. And only 25% of the global electricity generation can be generated through renewable energy resources, and our capacity, which is 44% for electricity generation, is the indication, is the mark of our success. When we took office in 2002, only 5 cities had access to natural gas. And as of 2019, all our 81 provinces are supplied with natural gas. But of course, our activities on cities are ongoing. The districts also will be delivered with natural gas. We have access to almost half of them, but our target is to deliver natural gas to all of them. And our natural gas storing capacity has come to a capacity of 4 billion cubic meters, and by 2023 we will increase it up to 11 billion cubic meters. The natural gas coming from Russia. You see, right? This is from the coastline to Kuyuköy. The natural gas coming from Russia is brought over the Black Sea to our country, and it will be delivered from our country to Europe. And the valves of this Mediterranean of this project, Turk Stream project, were opened last week with the event we held. And Turk Stream name, the name right of Turk Stream is held by Mr. Putin in terms of the property, intellectual properties. And another project, important project for natural gas is TANAP, and we have taken important steps to turn Turkey into the hub of energy center for 3 continents. Despite all the predicaments and also the regional tensions, we completed TANAP project, and it came operational in 2019. Akkuyu nuclear power plant construction is on a fast track, and 88 students out of 244 who were sent abroad for nuclear engineering trainings completed their trainings and started working. And we also attach importance to the mining of boron, and we have generated an income of about $820 million through the boron-related activities. Of course, we do not think that this is sufficient. Here, we need to achieve figures of millions of dollars, even billions of dollars. That is why we need to go for diversification for the natural resource of boron, and I believe we will have further income generated. And last year, we had laid the grounds for the boron carbide processing facility, and the boron carbide is used for the armoring of protective vests for the aircrafts, helicopters, for highly strong and rigid tactical vehicles. And we have been following this also in line with the East Mediterranean hydrocarbon activities. We have not allowed the attacks or the activities to isolate Turkey and also the Northern Republic of Cyprus out of the equation. We are determined to protect the rights of our citizens and also our cognates in Northern Cyprus. Our drilling ships of this that are state of the art, as you can see on the screen, PARTİ and Yavuz, are now running their activities, and they did so in 2019 in the continental shelves of our country and Northern Republic of Cyprus. And the security of our region is ensured by our crews and vessels. Yes, we have 2 drilling vessels and 2 seismic exploration vessels. We possess them. They're our own properties. Before, we could not even rent them. But now we own them, and we are in an effort to procure the 3rd vessel. We are proud of you. As long as you stand tall, you should have no concerns. We will continue to march on our path. Forestry and agriculture. In the past 17 years in the field of economy, health, tourism, defense, And as well in forestry and agriculture and stock breeding, we brought in many novelties. In the first 3 quarters of 2019, agriculture and forestry grew by 3.6%. And our farmers so far have been allocated with uh, a financial support of 138 billion liras. And the farmers will have term dates up to 5 years. And our agricultural production export increased up to $17.7 billion from $3.7 billion. And now we are exporting about 1,700 types of agricultural products to more than 195 countries. And the surplus in agriculture has exceeded a figure of $4.8 billion, and the technological greenhouse number has come to a figure of some 1,500. And our production of strategic seeds has come to a capacity of 1 million tons. The 96% of our need for seeds is now locally met. And we do not neglect our forests. The area of the forestry area of our country increased by 1.8 billion acres. And this way we helped also with the effectiveness of our land areas. And in 2019, 280 million saplings were planted. And we took another step, and as I said before, we declared November 11 the National Forestation Day. 1.2 million citizens supported this campaign called A Breath into the Future. We planted some 14 million saplings, and our forestry area will increase up to 22.9 million acres in 2020, and the number of our dams increased up to 861 from 276. The number of the hydroelectricity power plants also increased from 105 up to 381. The number of the potable water facilities increased up to 331 from 84. And our vegetable production will increase up to a capacity of 123 million tons, and the certified seed production will increase by 5% and correspond to a figure of 1.2 million tons. In the past 17 years, our incentives for stock breeding increased by 60 folds. This is important, and it has come to a capacity of 33 billion liras. We will be granting stock breeding initiatives which are worth of 6.6 billion liras. And this year, the import for meat products will be reduced, and hopefully by the end of 2022, we will not be importing any sort of meat product. And we are planning to also guarantee the poultry production of our country through a system, and this way we will be producing broiler breeder chickens to achieve a capacity of 30 million chicken production on a yearly basis. And this will help us to bring about additional rural development support programs. Now I will be talking about our family, labor and social policies. The social aids are important for our state tradition and for our civilization. So far, we have allocated a social incentive amount of 339 million liras. And only last year, we paid about 55 billion liras of social aid. According to the United Nations Humanitarian Development Report, Turkey is among the highly developed human capital group category in 2019. And we have reached out to 4.7 million citizens through our family social support programs, and we are also working to empower and protect women in any field, the violence against women included. Through some courses and programs, this year we will be reaching out to at least 361,000 women. And through foster family model, we will ensure that many children are in a family environment. And we have fought against the child labor and reached out to some 18,000 citizens. For the disabled, the Center for the certain recreational centers also increased up to 69 in number. And we also helped with the families of veterans and martyrs and employed many of them at public authorities. And in the half of this year, the first half of this year, we will be recruiting an additional 600 people. And the number of the disabled civil servants increased by tenfold during our office time. And the number of the people increased up to 29,000 since 2002. In 2005, 21.7 million was our labor force, but now it has exceeded 33 million. Among the OECD countries in the past 12 years, Turkey is the country whose rates for participation to the labor market has increased the most. In 2002, while only 24,000 people could find a job through the public authority, this figure is 1,300,000. The educational training programs were benefited by almost 500,000 people. More than 500,000 people, and we are hoping that a higher number of citizens will benefit from iş kurs courses and programs. And totally we have supported our people with employment incentives. Since 2016, we have been supporting our our businesses for the minimum wages.
İmalat ve bilişim sektöründe
And in
çalışan kişi başı 2558
manufacturing
lira,
and production
diğer
and
sektörlerde çalışanlara 959 lira
ICT sectors,
desteği sağlanıyor.
additional premium supports have been provided to many people.
Değerli kardeşlerim, yeni ekonomi programına göre
Distinguished friends, according to the new
önümüzdeki
economy
yılda
program and the
istihdamı
first
3,2 milyon kişi artırarak
in the
2022
next
yılında
3 years,
işsizliği %9,8'e
the
indirmeyi
unemployment rates are planned to be reduced down to 9.8%, and the minimum wage since 2002 increased by 154% in real terms and tenfolds in nominal terms. And we ensured that the pensions are not below 1,000 liras. The cuts from the pensions for the retired were abolished. Youth and sports. Distinguished friends, our youth is the collateral for our future, and we attach importance to support them in any field. To ensure that young people have further opportunities, we mobilize all efforts. The number of the youth center increased. They're beautiful, right? Up to 321, and the sports facilities also increased in number up to 3,700. And we are inaugurating additional 15 additional new sports facilities, and we are renewing, reconstructing 330 sports and youth centers all across the country. We have 39 youth camps, and 125 young people benefited from it only in 2019. And in 2020, this figure will be at least doubled. Those studying sports and those who are training are also served with activities. And the number of the medals in international games increased from some 1,400 up to 6,256. In politics and bureaucracy, we are empowering our youth more and show that our support is not in form of words but in action. And this way, we in our assembly, in our party, in our ministerial cabinets and many other fields, we have young people assuming responsibility, and 2019 was declared as the year of volunteerism, and we have encouraged all our young in all cities for civil society activities. Culture and tourism. 2019 was a year of records broken for culture and tourism. The number of the visitors in 2019 on a year-on-year basis increased by 12% and increased up to a figure of 51.5 million. And the number of the facilities certified by the ministry increased up to 4,761 from 3,262. We have allocated about 2 billion liras of funds to our municipalities. In terms of blue flags, we have 463 beaches, 22 marinas, and 15 cruises, and we ranked the third in the world. We established a Turkish Tourism and Development Agency, and we are hoping to attract 75 million tourists and $65 billion of revenue by way of making our country seasonal for all 12 months. The presidential complex library will be open to services soon. It's a library which will be open 24/7. And let's have a look at that. This is our presidential complex library. It might help to watch it a little. And when you visit, you will see it's much better. For our youth, for our citizens, for our country, I hope this will be auspicious. By the end of 2020, 10 additional libraries will be open for service. Şanlıurfa Göbeklitepe site has been open to service, and 2019 was declared as the Göbeklitepe year in tourism. I would like to thank to those who contributed, starting from Doğuş Group company, on behalf of my nation, and I also personally would like to thank them. With traditional Turkish archery, our number of registered elements in the UNESCO non-concrete cultural heritage has increased up to 18, and we are among the 5 top of 178 countries. We have renewed 154 museums, and the July the 15 Martyrs and Democracy Museum in Ankara and Sivas Muhsin Yazıcıoğlu Cultural Center also were inaugurated. And the new Atatürk Culture Center hopefully will be completed by the end of 2020. This is Istanbul Atatürk Culture Center. The construction is going fast, and we have Ankara. It's also going fast, the construction. Last year, we renewed the complexes of many foundations and also completed 6 mosques. Our TV show sector, with its export capacity of 350 million in 2019, comes after the US. Now 5 million people across 156 countries watch our films and TV shows. And with the new cinema law, we have diversified the support we provide for such activities. Now I come to economy. Distinguished friends, economy always comes among the first for our priorities. In the developing emerging countries, we have brought the ranks of Turkey upwards. and our national income increased up to $950 billion from 236 billion and increased by fourfolds. And the global attacks that we have been exposed to throughout the recent years had some effect, but despite that, we never diverged from our targets in economy. And despite the ambiguities in the global level and also some speculative attacks, we have remained determined and strong and made our country rise again as of 2019. And the foreign currency rates, which were fluctuating before, now have come to a stable line. And the interest rates, we said, should be reduced, and they are now decreasing, and today there will be another announcement about it. Our new economy program, which will cover 2022, has come in effect. In terms of financial stability and current transactions, the target is to preserve what's at hand and further develop. And the past 17 years show that we are not behind our targets much. For example, before 2003, the yearly inflation figure, average figure, was 68.7%, but as of 2003 to our day, the average inflation rate is 10%, 10.3%. Despite all the challenges, the inflation rate of 2019, which is 11.8%, is not much different from what we had in the past years. And in terms of monetary and financial policies, we are conducting reform and coordination activities, and we plan to decrease the inflation rate down to 4.9%, and we have offered credits of 46 billion liras to many in 2019, and allocated more than 29 billion liras worth of credit with a number of 56,000 types of credits. And in 2019, in the third quarter, our country has achieved a positive growth rate of 0.9, and this year, by growing by 5%, we have remained over the global average expectations of 3.4%. Our central bank, including gold, has totally a reserve of more than $105 billion. And Borsa Istanbul, in 2003, when we took office, my brothers and sisters, had an index of 10,600, and as of yesterday, it has increased up to 121 and broke the record. Some do talk, and they will talk to talk, but we will take action. And all the indicators of in the economy show that in the forthcoming periods there will be positive developments. And the current transaction balance, which is indicated by some as the biggest weakness of our country, this has now a surplus of $5.4 billion as of September. We are not compromising on our financial discipline. And the interest rates and the market interest rates, we are going for reductions. And commercial credits 15 points, in housing credits 15, and mortgage credits 15 points, and also in other types of credits 18 points of reduction has been observed in terms of interest rates. And in 2019 November, in the field of banking, capital adequacy ratio is around 18.6%. And this level is much over the minimum amount indicated by the international standards. Turkey is positively separated from the emerging countries, and credit risk points of marks of Turkey or grades of it are improving. And Borsa Istanbul also developed interest rate-free financing tools. When the international investment in the world is shrinking in volume, our country still continued to be in a good position. The total amount of the foreign direct investment in between 2003 and 2019 has come to a figure of $211 billion. And our investment office, working under the auspices of presidency, is supporting the entrepreneurs before, during, and after their investments. And according to the Business Facilitation Index by the World Bank, Turkey used to be ranked 43rd, but now we have made our way 10 ranks higher and come to the rank of 33rd. And we are targeting to make our country among the best to invest to. Trade. Last year, our export volume increased by 2% and has achieved a figure of $180 million. In 2018, our foreign deficit was 54 billion, while as of the end of 2019, it has come to 29 billion. In other words, our foreign deficit decreased by 44%. We, in terms of the export rate volume, ranked the 7th, and in terms of absolute import value increase, we ranked the 5th. And the contribution of export activities to the overall growth is by 4.7. And in 2020, our business people will be supported in all corners of the world, and we will be showing efforts to support our country further. And last year, with $3.2 billion, we supported our exporters with the highest figure in the Republican history. And Exim Bank increased the number of its offices up to 20, and 53% of the credits, the loans allocated for the banking sector was possible through Exim Bank. And totally $44 billion worth of export financing was allocated to more than 12,000 companies. And to ensure that our companies open to foreign markets more, we issued green passports for more than 14,000 exporters. All the documents were digitalized and digital customs practice came in use. We supported export support offices. And electronic and coded check application practice will start for the craftsmen and the artisans. The financing support has exceeded 40 billion liras. Only last year, we allocated loans with interest discounts. Now I come to the Ministry of Defense. So last year we started the national industry movement. The first local automobile prototype was brought and unveiled during the last days of 2019.
Evet, bu da laciverti. Dediler ki bak dışarıda süremiyor ha. Türkiye'nin 60 yıllık hayalinin gerçeğe dönüşmesine bir adım daha
we are one step closer to making the 60-year dream of Turkey come true. The prototypes presented were very much appreciated by our nation and our sector overall in terms of design and technical features, and hopefully we will continue to closely follow up this process and support our people for Turkey's automobile. Distinguished brothers, in Gemlik district, the facility will be established, constructed on an area of 1 million square meters, and the buy industry is very strong in Bursa province, and in this land we wanted to construct our facility. So we have initiated a technology-oriented industry action program for the localization of high value-added products, and in April we will announce those who deserve some initiatives in machinery sector. Last year we organized more than 5,000 incentive certificates, and thanks to the investment incentives, we will create more than 212,000 additional employments. And in 2019, we provided 2.3 billion TL support for our SMEs. Through the development agencies and development authorities, we transferred 1,049 million liras to more than 2,000 projects only last year. 7 projects which we have under project-based support, and they will also provide additional contributions, significant contributions in reducing the current deficit. In the last 17 years, we have increased the number of organized industrial zones to 315. and the employment increased up to 1.9 million with 5.5 million additions. This year we will open 7 new organizational industrial zones and offer 5 more sites and employment opportunities for 25,000 people. In 2019, we completed the infrastructure of 7 different organized industrial zones in various regions of our country. Istanbul, Balıkesir, İzmir, Bursa, Mardin, Çanakkale, and other cities. We have we target 62,000 additional jobs with new investments of approximately 45 billion TL. And we are starting the first private sector investments in Adana Ceyhan Energy zone in the first half of 2020. With international leading researchers program, we brought 127 top researchers to our country, and Turkey's space agency, which was a 20-year dream for our country, was established in December 2018, and the national space program is to be announced in the first half of this year. In the last 17 years, we have implemented some 1,300 RD centers and 361 design centers, and the number of our technoparks increased from 5 to 85. Muğla Techno City and Health Sciences Techno City will become operational in the first half of this year. Last year, through TÜBİTAK, we provided approximately 700 million liras of grant to almost 3,000 RD projects, and the Technofest with 1,700,000 visitors have become the second event of the world's aviation, space and technology fields.
Tüm milletimizi özellikle saran bu heyecan, teknoloji ve yenilikçilik coşkusu.
So this enthusiasm of technology and innovation that our entire nation has will be again taking place in Gaziantep.
Biz diyor İstanbul'u geçeceğiz.
And Gaziantep mayor is very excited. She says we will have more than 2 million participants, visitors. And I said to her, okay, then do so.
Büyük verinin işlenmesi, bilgiye ve ekonomik değere dönüştürülmesi amacıyla TÜBİTAK bünyesinde
we also established an artificial intelligence institute within TÜBİTAK to process our big data and convert it into information economic value. This year, we're launching the system acceptance tests of Turkey's first artificial intelligence-based signal intelligence platform. We also realized our third science expedition and established a temporary science base in Antarctica. The fourth national Antarctic state science campaign will be held in the first half of this year. In the defense industry, in order to protect our country against dependence on external sources, we increased the rate of local production from 20% to 70% in 17 years. In 2002, only 62 defense industry projects were carried out locally, but today we have reached a figure of 700. The annual defense industry and aviation turnover has approached to $9 billion, and our exports figures have risen up to $2.7 billion. Last year, we also delivered over 800 armored vehicles to our security forces, and we now have Vuran, our new armored vehicle, in our inventory.
Atak helikopterlerimizin operasyonlardaki başarısını gururla izliyoruz. Geçtiğimiz yıl 14 adet
Last year, we completed the delivery of 14 additional helicopters, and these are called the attack helicopters, and the total number is higher now. We produced them with the Italians. The other day, the Prime Minister was here. We talked about it again and said how we can carry it even forward. And the Gökbey helicopter, our national design, is ongoing, and we have been continuing with our test flights.
Medya, beğendik mi? Alkışlar gelmiyor. Milgem projesinin 4. gemisi Kınalı Adayı da şu güzelliğe bak. Deniz kuvvetlerimize teslim ettik.
And we delivered Kınalıada, the fourth ship of the Milgem project, to our naval forces.
Şimdi bir şey daha var. Milli gemi savar
Now
füzemiz
we
Atmaca'yı da Kınalıada korvetimize yerleştirdik.
have also our Atmaca, the national ship missile, in our Kınalıada corvette team. And not only the helicopters, we also need to have ship missiles, because in case of an attack, our ships need to defend themselves.
Denizaltılarımızdan ilki olan Piri Reis'i geçtiğimiz günlerde havuza çıkardık. Denize indirdiğimiz Anadolu çıkarma
And
gemisi inşallah bu yıl
Anatolian landing
Deniz
ship
Kuvvetleri'nin
also will
alırız.
be included into the inventory of our naval forces.
Savaş gemilerimizi ihraç etmenin gururunu da yaşıyoruz.
We're also proud
Elektronik
to
harp ve radar
export
sistemlerinde ileri
our
teknoloji seviyesine
warships.
ulaşmaya başladık. Coral projesiyle
With
düşman
Coral project,
hatlarındaki elektronik haberleşme hatları
we have
ve radar
gained
sistemlerini
capabilities
önemli
in
kabiliyetler kazandık.
terms of dulling the electronic communication lines and radar systems of the enemies.
Çok önemli.
This is crucial.
Çok önemli. Bakın ilginç olan bir şey. Hava Soj projesiyle ise
And with
bu alanda
Havasoj
dünyada
project,
sayılı ülkenin sahip olduğu
we
kabiliyete
will have the ability of only few countries in the
insansız
world.
kara, deniz
Unmanned
araçları,
land and sea vehicles,
elektromanyetik
laser
fırlatma
weapon
sistemleri,
systems, electronic
sürer
launching systems,
insansız hava aracı teknolojisi,
and UAV technologies, autonomous systems, and rocket projects are progressing rapidly.
dünyada az sayıda ülkeyle
And we run such activities simultaneously with a small number of countries in the world. We will do what they do also.
eninde sonunda başardık.
And sooner or
İnsansız
later,
hava araçlarımız
we managed so.
biliyorduk
Our
kapıları
unmanned aerial vehicles, we were going to them and ask for it, and the Congress was not allowing for it.
en sonunda
Not once, not twice, but then we had to procure them from Israel. And when we did so, when it was about maintenance and repairing it, they said no, go today, come back tomorrow, and we said no to that. We said no way, and we have now the
Akıncı geliyor, Akıncı.
unmanned air vehicles and other vehicles, and we have Akıncı coming our way.
Akıncı bambaşka.
Akıncı is something else.
Donanımlarıyla çok farklı.
It's much different with its equipment.
Silahlı, insansız hava aracı.
It's another unmanned aerial vehicle.
Hepsi çok
The
güçlü
flight,
olan,
the aviation,
o da bizim
the equipment
havadaki
is
zenginliğimiz.
very strong, and it will be a source of richness for us in the air.
Aracı üreten 3 ülkeden
We are going to be among the top 3 countries in the world that produce the best in
Bayraktar
this
siyahımızın ihracatına
class.
başladık.
So we started also our export activities for
Ankara
Bayraktar,
S. Yeni
and
el motoru ile
with the new
göklerdeki yerini o da sağlamlaştı.
engine, we have stronger vehicles now. And Korkut air missile system also will be delivered to our forces, and we have now come to a stage of mass production in low-altitude air defense systems, and we will have them in our inventory this year. And 105 milliliter light howitzer Boran tests will be completed and will be included in our inventory this year. And also for SPER, a long-range air defense missile system, will be prepared. And we will complete the integration of high-power national laser in the first half of 2020, and we are going to become more and more able to produce our own defense industry needs, from warplanes to all types of engines, and so on. Let's come to our foreign policy. Distinguished friends, thanks to our entrepreneurial and humanitarian foreign policy approach, we have become the fifth country with the largest representation network in the world, and we have increased the number of our representative offices abroad from 163 to 246, and the number of our embassies up to 142 from 93. And with the Asia Again initiative we announced this year, we are further strengthening our relations with the Asia-Pacific region, and with the participation of Uzbekistan and under the roof of the Turkish Council, a historic step has been taken towards the unity of the Turkish world, and in terms of reviving our deep-rooted historical and cultural relations with Africa, we have been covering great mileage. With the African Union, with which we have built a strategic partnership relationship in 2008, we will organize the third partnership summit in the first half of 2020. In the face of unlawful lawful harassments by Israeli government, we continue to struggle to protect the dignity of Jerusalem and Palestine. The 54th meeting of the Partnership Council, the highest decision-making organ of Turkey-European Union relations, after a 4-year-long period, was held in Brussels on March 15, 2019, and we held the last meeting of the Reform Monitoring Group in Ankara on May 9, in particular, the Europe Day. We hope to gain a new sort of momentum in our relations with the European Union in the forthcoming periods. And the Syrian issue remains on our agenda as the most vital foreign policy topic. During the Syrian and Iraqi crisis, we have opened our doors to all oppressed and victims without making any discrimination. Hosted by our country with the participation of Russia, France, Germany, a quadrilateral summit on Syria was organized, and we contributed to the search for solutions by organizing this summit. Again, within the scope of NATO Leaders Summit in London, France, Germany, the United Kingdom participated for us to be able to hold another quadrilateral summit on Syria. The efforts to export Syrian crisis to our country through the terrorist organizations that have turned up alongside our borders have led us to show actual presence in the field, and with the Euphrates Shield operation we launched to the west of the Euphrates River, and with the Olive Branch operations we killed the Daesh balloon and upset the plans set over PYD. With the Operation Peace Spring, we also smashed the terror corridor which some people try to establish in the east of the Euphrates. With the Operation Peace Spring initiated on October 9, we have cleared an area of 145 kilometers in length and 30 kilometers in depth down to south by our Syrian border from terrorist elements. With this Sochi agreement, we have averted a major human tragedy in Idlib that would have affected about 4 million people. And to restore peace in Idlib, we have expanded the scope of our activities. The Constitutional Commission, which we believe will bring a lasting solution to the problem in Syria, have finally been established. And between Rusulain and Tel Abyad, we have started our activities on the construction of settlement areas where we can initially settle hundreds of thousands of people initially and then 1 million. And so far, 373,000 Syrians have voluntarily returned to the areas that our country has made safe and secure. Organized by the United Nations for the first time, the Global Refugee Forum has confirmed Turkey's leading position in the field. We also attach importance to the territorial integrity of our neighbor Iraq and respect the rights and interests of our Turkmen brothers and sisters living in this country. And in the first 6 months of 2020, we aim to reopen our Basra and Mosul consulates. We are also planning to open new consulates in Najaf and Kirkuk. Some people, as you know, tried to implement a scenario to confine our country within only her own coastal frame in the Mediterranean, but first, together with the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and with Libya, we did upset such plans with the agreements, with the deals signed with those countries. We signed a memorandum with Libya on the restriction of maritime jurisdictions. In the area which is in between the coastlines of Turkey and Libya, no one will be able to run exploration or drilling activities or have a pipeline building activity without the approval of both countries. In 2020, we are going to grant license for these areas and start the exploration and drilling activities in the fastest way possible. And following the licensing activities, Oruç Reis seismic research vessel will carry out seismic studies activities in the region. And to ensure the stability of the legitimate government in Syria, we are sending troops to this country. With the awareness that Turkey's security starts outside her borders, all political, commercial, humanitarian, military and diplomatic means will be mobilized for the stability of our region. And by bringing it to the attention of our parliamentary, as you know, a motion was passed. And our official development assistance organization, TICA, has reached to a capacity that covers more than 170 countries on over 5 continents, and the number of students studying in our country with scholarships granted by Turkey has reached to a figure of 17,000, and we have built strong bridges between our 6.5 million citizens who live abroad in nearly 100 countries of the world, and of course with 82 million citizens living in 81 provinces of our country. And with Yunus Emre Institute, we introduce and promote our language, our civilization, history, and culture all over the world. And Turkey Marif Foundation invests into our young people who are the guarantees, the collaterals for our future. And within the scope of international humanitarian activities, we are operating in more than 60 countries in 5 continents, and we will continue to raise our flag higher, and also make sure the value of our passport and money and the reputation of our country gets to a position it deserves. Distinguished friends, I know maybe I tired you a bit, but I am almost about to finish and bring an end to my words. We have tried to make a general evaluation of the past 17 years and also what we have done in the recent years and what we did in 2019 and also what we will do in 2020. Of course, this is not all about it. If I were to talk about everything in detail, it would have taken hours. But as the country and the nation, we are aware of all the activities taking place, and we will continue with our struggle with determination in 2020 and be aware of the historical process we have been going through. As of January 1st, we will be implementing our 180-day program, which includes 537 actions, and the budget for it is about 34 billion liras, and it will cover the first 6 months of 2020. My brothers and sisters, we will continue on the path we believe in, and with the help of God and with the support of our nation, we will do so, and we firmly believe that their support will always be with us. And with these feelings, I once again would like to extend my greetings, my deepest love and respect to my great nation. I wish God's mercy and blessings on the souls of the martyrs who put their lives in danger for our independence and future, and wish health and well-being to our veterans. I would also like to thank you for your attention and your interest. May you all remain in health. Thank you.
Teşekkürlerimizi ve saygılarımızı arz ediyoruz. Efendim 2019 yılı değerlendirme toplantımız burada sona ermiştir. Teşriflerinden dolayı Cumhurbaşkanımız Sayın Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'a, bakanlarımıza, efendim bir aile fotoğrafımız olacak öncelikle.